My name is Erica Tomlin and I'm a brand ambassador for Social Joy. And today I have with me Diana Doro, who is Vice President for Sales for Workspend. Hi, Diana.
Hi, Erica.
How are you today?
Very well, and I'm glad to be talking to you.
Good, good. So for Social Joy this month, Diana, we're basically looking at female leadership. Today's interview is sort of to kind of get your perspective and to see your experience of being a female leader. So to start with, I just wanted to know a little bit about how you came to join the recruitment industry. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course, truthfully, I joined it almost on accident. I got a communications degree, and I think that very naturally led to an inside sales role when I was much younger. It's an entry level job that a lot of recent college grads can get, and I just happened to be getting my first job at a time where technology was really intersecting with the recruitment space. That sort of the beginning of the 20-year transformation that we've seen, where recruitment is relying more and more on technology to achieve its outcomes. And I was a part of that. So in my first inside sales role in selling to recruitment firms and then moving up the ladder in different roles and then into different companies that were cutting edge in that industry, I was really connected with and able to network with a lot of the largest recruitment firms on the planet, and eventually made the impression to ultimately be recruited by them. So it was accidental, but I think has turned out quite well.
And what is it that gives you the motivation, the activation energy to kind of get out of bed in the morning and get on with your day?
Well, I think I'm lucky in that I've seen this transformation happen over my entire career. I never jumped ship. I never went into a different space. And so if I have that perspective of the, last 16 or 18 years of experience in this industry to see how much it's changed, that's incredibly motivating because I know that there is so much more change around the corner. And I know that this is actually a very exciting time for us because some of the things that are happening in our economy as a result of COVID have sort of forced companies to be reactive where perhaps they were doing very much business as usual. And so that transformation has been accelerated. As someone who sits in technology and the services industry that is driven by technology, getting companies to make change that otherwise have been very stagnant, that's an incredible seat to be in. And it's incredibly motivating to know that this change is happening so quickly compared to how it's happened, over past years.
And talking of the industry, do you feel that your industry is male dominated?
I don't know if I think that it is male dominated or if it is that male domination is intentional, but I do think that men ask for responsibility or seek leadership more often than women. And so in turn, that is going to mean that there are more male leaders in this space because they are the first to raise their hands. That's something that I, of course, would like to see changed, and that in my own career, I have tried to change in not shying away for asking for additional responsibility or in asking for a promotion or in interviewing for jobs that maybe were scary at first, to be taking a big leap and saying, I'm ready for that next step in my career. I think that human resources as an industry and recruiting as an industry have typically been female led because they require that human interaction, maybe a different tone than men often will take. But that tone also sometimes, gives them leadership opportunity that perhaps we don't have. I do think it's changing. Many of my past leaders have been women, and I work for a woman-owned company. So I'm encouraged.
How do you think that perhaps, you've already mentioned it a little bit, but in what ways do you think this male dominated industry has affected how you work in the workplace with men?
I think you have to know yourself and be confident. It's my experience that women are not the first to raise their hands in a meeting or the first to speak up, but absolutely nobody would ever say that about me. No one would ever say that I am quiet or that I keep my mouth shut if I have an opinion. Not that I'm rude, but that I want my voice to be heard. So I think that there is opportunity for women. We're changing, in my opinion, the way that we're viewed in the workplace, maybe not being as quiet in meetings. I'm also curious to see how over the last 6 months that we've all been working from home, we're no longer sitting in boardrooms to have these conversations. We're sitting in our homes, just like I am now. And you're never more comfortable at home. And so does that give us opportunities to be more ourselves? And are women taking advantage of that? That they're not actually in the room with their peers or with their boss, and they can use their voice because they can be themselves. And that's something that I certainly hope for.
That's a really interesting point that you make about working at home. And I wonder whether you could tell us a little bit about being a working mum and how you kind of blend those two lives as well.
Yes, I am a working mom. I have two boys, 12 and 6. So I'm right in the throes of motherhood right now. School actually starts this week. Every year we get a little notebook sent home for my boys that is their planner. And I tell them, managing your time is going to be the most important thing that you can learn while you're in school. And I really do think that that applies to me as a working mother. It's about managing my time and managing my expectations for what kind of a mother I'm going to be able to be after the workday is over. Is it true that sometimes I put food in the pot and then forget to turn it on? Absolutely. These things happen, and we just eat pizza. It's fine. And the kids do understand. Kids are extremely resilient, and I think they're proud of their mom. They do ask me what it's like at work. They ask me about my boss, about my friends, because I think that they think of me in the same way that they think about themselves at school, that they have a teacher and that they have friends. And I think that that's very relatable. And I try to relate to them on that level because I do have friends that I've made just at work. And my boss does teach me things. Um, I think that in being a mother and also having a job, it's about priorities. And I am doing this working 100% so that I can give my kids the very best. And it's motivating for me during the day when I'm in that afternoon slump or something doesn't go well, that I've got a framed picture of them on my desk and they're smiling, and it makes me smile.
What advice would you give to women who are struggling to break into business leadership?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that women need to speak up if they're interested in a leadership role and be proactive in their own careers. It's never too soon to have a conversation with your management or with your leader about what your career aspirations are. There's room for us at the table, definitely. And oftentimes, I think that perhaps women aren't considered for leadership roles because the people who are in leadership now might not know that they have an interest because it's never been discussed before. So I would say raise your hand. You are more qualified than you probably think you are. Job descriptions for leadership roles can be very scary. I found them intimidating initially when I was applying for my first role that I would consider at the executive level because I kept saying to myself, I don't see myself as a vice president. I'm just me. But the qualifications really go much farther beyond what's in a printed job description, especially as it relates, I think, to where you might fit into the company culture, or if the company you're working for has an initiative to bring more women to the table that you might not even know about. I would say simply to ask. And the next time you're in a review with your manager, to say, have you considered me for any more opportunities at this company? Let them know that you're interested in someday being a leader at the company. That will also solidify maybe any doubts that your manager might have about if you're in the job for the long haul. If you let them know that you're interested in leadership, that can really help to plant your feet at the company, and that manager might be able to give you those roots that you need.
And as someone who works in the staffing industry, how do you think that well, what do you think organizations should be doing to kind of increase their female employee retention rates and improve the hiring process, maybe even for working mums?
I really think that benefits, specifically maternity benefits, are something that companies should be evaluating. I have a age gap between my boys, and so I was at two different companies when I was on maternity leave. And one program's maternity leave was vastly superior than the other. And it made me feel more valued to get more time with my baby before I had to go back to work. I also read an interesting article about women taking sick time when their kids are sick. And it's because they're afraid to admit that their kids are sick and that they need to be home. So I think transparency, just as a value for companies that have working moms in their population, would be hugely beneficial, because a working mother shouldn't be embarrassed to say that she needs to stay home with a sick kid. It happens. And if they felt maybe that that was going to be well received by leadership, I think they would tell the truth. And I think that they wouldn't be afraid to say that they were taking a sick day, not because they were sick, but because their kid was sick. The benefits, I think, transparency. I think also even just acknowledging from the top down that leadership knows that you're a mother and that there are sometimes going to be exceptions that need to be made for you and that those are acceptable. Having that conversation before it's necessary really does help to level the playing field. And I can remember a very specific instance where my childcare did not last past the end of my workday, and I needed essentially a 30-minute exception just so that I could pick my son up at the end of the day. And when I had to approach leadership about that, I was hugely embarrassed and nervous even that my job might be at risk. When if maybe they had been transparent or forthcoming that that would be acceptable, it wouldn't have taken me a week to ask for something that I really needed Monday, but waited till Friday to bring up.
Yeah. And finally, just sort of reflecting on a point that you made earlier about recruitment being an industry for women, is that a recommendation? Do you think that recruitment is a great industry for women to work in?
I cannot recommend this industry enough, and for a couple of reasons. Like I'd said, that we're in an interesting time that recruitment and technology are really intersecting. This is an industry that is great for getting exposure to technology where otherwise you might not. So I get to work with some of the most advanced technology partners that are out there in VMS. I've worked also in CRM, in marketing, the internet as a resource for talent. And I don't think I would have had exposure to those types of companies or even those discussions if I wasn't in this space. But also because we're intersecting with technology, it provides us huge flexibility. I have two boys. I work 100% from home. It's true I do travel because of the level of the role that I'm in, but I'm able to stay in touch with them with my iPad. I can very easily pick up the phone and call them no matter where I am. But that also means that I can take my work with me no matter where I am. And so in times of needing to be in a parking lot because they're about to be released and I have to pick them up, I can snap them up easily and still have access to everything I need. I am surely not the only mother who has taken a conference call in the school parking lot. And this industry allows for that flexibility. I really like to think of it in that if I'm putting in my 50 hours a week, some of those hours are after they go to bed, but because what I'm doing is all online and all remote, and a lot of this industry is, I have that flexibility, and so I can do my job well by having flexibility.
Well, that's great, and it's lovely to get your perspective on being a female leader and also a working mother. So thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, of
And
course.
well, I'll leave you to get on with your very busy day, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Erica. So nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Diana. Goodbye.